What's good everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be revisiting the massive Capcom leak because we have some more rumored information on one of the Resident Evil titles that was leaked. Now for those who don't know, Capcom had a massive data leak not too long ago with a lot of the information probably being correct. Now, I already covered it on the channel. If you want the full details on what went down with that leak, make sure you check out my previous videos. It's right there on the channel and also link in the description below. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about one of the games that was rumored to be in there as another Resident Evil title. But it does seem like this game is a bit different because this will be essentially Resident Evil Revelations 3, and it's a Switch focused release with that brand new RE engine that was made for the Switch, as you guys know, with the Monster Hunter Rise. And this comes from somebody who is a reputable Capcom leaker or insider. So he's gotten multiple things right with Capcom. He actually got right with the whole Monster Hunter Rise when that was going to be announced, and the Monster Hunter game specifically made for the Switch in mind. So it looks like we could be having another thing here. So let's get into it. This was posted by Dusk Golem on Reset Era. I've actually covered what he said before on the channel. So let's go ahead and get right into what he had to say. Quote, I sort of weighed the options. I think long-term people believing there's an Outbreak 3 and it not existing may hurt more than help. But I also got 100% confirmation Outrage is RE Switch. So the code names for that Resident Evil game in the massive data leak. It may not be called Revelations 3 when it releases, but it is for all intents and purposes, and it's the Switch focused RE game, not Switch exclusive though. It's coming to everything. Switch was the lead platform though. I know you know this, just decided and think it's coming out to the public anyways. So Dusk Golem is a guy that got right with the whole Monster Hunter Rise will be announced soon. Then we got that Nintendo Direct mini presentation and how it's going to be on a new RE engine built for the Switch. So he got that right. So he does have some credibility here, especially when it comes to Capcom. And I wanted to discuss this because I'm actually a huge fan of Resident Evil. For those who don't know, I've pretty much played and beat almost every single Resident Evil game, but I absolutely love Resident Evil Revelations 1. 2, not so much, but I'm not going to go on a Revelations 2 bashing spree here when it comes down to it. I've already talked about that game enough in the past. But what I want to discuss is Capcom really hitting their stride if this rumor turns out to be true, which I definitely think it is because it only makes sense that Capcom puts out a Switch type of focus and marketed Resident Evil game, since it won't be getting the newer Resident Evil titles like Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's probably going to get a cloud version of Resident Evil 3. Maybe it gets a cloud version of Resident Evil 2 Remake. Not sure if it'll get like the cloud version of Resident Evil 7 or stuff like that, but it's not getting those games, or those games aren't being focused on the Switch. Yet there's a huge market for Resident Evil on Switch. Capcom has made literally millions upon millions of dollars off of Switch owners with old Resident Evil games. The Resident Evil Collection, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2. All of those did very good for Capcom, essentially free money for them since they were already done on other platforms. All they had to do was get a port kind of done in for the Switch. So they've made plenty of money, and it makes sense that they take the development time and efforts to say, hey, we're going to make sure that this game is marketed, advertised, and really pushed on Switch to get Switch owners excited for it, because you guys all know the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, PlayStation Xbox systems, they're getting Resident Evil Village, right? And that's going to be the big game. That's obviously going to sell well, but that's probably not going to come to Switch. So if they can make a ground up Resident Evil game built with the Switch in mind, still coming to everything, but built with the Switch in mind, that would be a fantastic way to take advantage of the massive install base and play upon all of those millions of fans that have already purchased Resident Evil games on the Switch. I think it's an ingenious idea, and it makes sense that Capcom is striking at this point, just because they waited for that install base, man. They built it up, they ported over their older titles, they brought stuff over. The base has actually been there for a while, but a huge base to sell your games to, 70+ million. Capcom is really striking in 2021, especially if this game is announced next year. We'll see if that even happens. We're gonna have to wait. I know Resident Evil Village is going to be a 2021 title, so we'll see where it falls in line with it. But I'd be completely down for this. I love Revelations 1. I played the game like crazy on the Nintendo 3DS. I played the raid mode. That was a lot of fun. Played it on the Wii U, played it on the Xbox 360, played it on the Nintendo Switch in 60 frames. It's a great game and a lot of fun. I did enjoy the title. So I'm hoping that this does end up to be true. I'm leaning towards it being that way. What's going to be more interesting is the distribution of this game and exactly how it's marketed as a Switch-focused game. Now, if you head all the way back to Resident Evil Revelations, that was like, what, 2011, 2012, when they were doing that game on the Nintendo 3DS, we didn't know that game was coming to other platforms. It was an exclusive on the Nintendo 3DS at first, and it was pushed that way. So it does seem like this is going to potentially be a timed exclusive. A lot of the marketing and focus just might be on the Switch version, like we've seen for other multi-platform games before. I know like SNK Heroines, that was a game that was kind of just pushed for Switch. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin pushed for Switch. I mean, there's been various games that kind of just have more of that Switch feel to them, or a base that might be interested more on the Nintendo platform, although people like Resident Evil Revelations on Microsoft and Sony as well. So it's going to be very cool to see what they do with this one. One more thing that I would love to see personally with this one is definitely in-depth controls. I mean, if they're focusing on the Switch, HD rumble needs to be a thing. I think in Resident Evil games, they did a fairly good job with some HD rumble stuff with the collection, so I'd love to see them take advantage of that. They even, I think, had like motion controls. They had gyro controls in there for shooting. All that stuff should be included in. That's really gonna get Switch fans excited. And I know one thing, gyro controls, you say that and people start saying, oh, okay, I'll check it out. So HD rumble, gyro controls, making sure that you're using the functionality of the system to the best of its abilities. And with that new RE engine, we saw how good Monster Hunter Rise looks on the Nintendo Switch, running at a solid frame rate as well. From what they've shown off, I would expect Resident Evil to look very good, because Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS still to this day looks pretty good on the 3DS hardware, and if you're playing it in 3D, it actually looks amazing. So the fact that they were able to get so much out of that system, I can only imagine what they're going to be able to do with this custom RE engine for the Switch and a brand new Resident Evil game. So it's exciting to see what's in store for Capcom on the Switch. And yes, the massive data leak, it's not good, right, overall, but it's cool to see Capcom saying, okay, now is the time to strike with our Switch titles. We've been taking our time actually making high quality games for the platform, and now is the time to kind of execute on some of those games and those announcements. So what do you guys think about this here when it comes to Resident Evil Revelations 3, rumored to be a Switch focused title? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.